We got to figure out how to do like a sweet video introduction too, like with the Evergreen
Oh yeah,
project, like animation
yes,
thing. We'll ask David
sure.
for one of those, I guess. Well, hello everybody. This is Joshua Steele and Greg Goebel from Anglican Compass. Greg's the founder of our website, and now he's our editor in chief. And I'm Josh. I'm the managing editor, kind of in charge of the daily and the weekly operations of the website. But between the two of us, we're, the two main people responsible for the editorial vision of Anglican Compass, which we currently describe on our website as navigating the Anglican tradition with clarity and charity. I think we technically have to give David Roseberry credit for clarity and charity, those two specific words that work so well together. But clarity and charity is really what we're after. So in this video, Greg and I are just going to take a few minutes to sort of, pull back the curtain a little bit. And as the two editors in charge, talk with, our readers and even our potential authors just a little bit more about what we mean by clarity and charity. That's one of those phrases that sounds great, but then you think about it and it's like, wait, that could go in maybe a couple different directions. So what do these guys mean by that? So I'm going to start us off by just reading and describing what we've got up on our website, our Start Here page. And then Greg and I are just going to, talk a little bit about the background of this vision. Greg, he's the one who started our website. So we'll talk about how clarity and charity has shaped the thing since the beginning. And then also, what we've learned along the way, what are some lessons that we've learned from running this website for a while. And so we hope that this video is helpful to you as someone who potentially resonates with this vision. So up on our website right now, we've got, we help you navigate the Anglican tradition with clarity and charity. That's our tagline. Under clarity, we've got as a description, we're committed to maintaining Christian orthodoxy, including a traditional sexual ethic, and communicating as clearly as possible. And then by charity, we mean that we're committed to loving others well, even and especially when we disagree with them, and only engaging with the strongest versions of their arguments instead of, fighting against a straw man argument. So that's what we have up on our website, Greg. But I'm wondering, if you're sitting down with somebody over a cup of coffee, and they just encountered our website for the first time and they asked you, can you elaborate on that a little bit? I mean, that's a helpful, succinct description. But what are you guys really after in terms of clarity and charity? Like where are the main points of emphasis for you? What would you say?
Yeah, that's a great question. And just kind of going back in my mind as we were talking earlier, I was just thinking about being a rector at a church plant and helping to lead that church. And it was in a time when there actually weren't a lot of resources that were put together in one place that I could send people
Mm,
to. There was like, there'd be like a book or a chapter here and an article there. And I was constantly trying to figure out how to tell people, you probably need to read chapters 5, 6, and 7 of that book. They're relevant, but this book over here. And some of the ways we were doing church planting and ministry were kind of new or different to many of us. So I was just kept writing these resources for the parish, for the church plant, and people would say, this would help another church plant, this would help others, why don't you post? So that was kind of the
mm,
starting point, was mission and ministry. Just how do we do that? And at that time there were a lot of Anglican websites that were telling news stories
yeah.
about what was going on in the Anglican world. There were websites talking about the differences and divisions in Anglicanism and kind of staking out different ground and arguments and those kind of things, and then just people explaining kind of their stands and why they were joining which group. But if you Google searched Anglican, you would really get a lot of those stories. And
Yeah.
the people already had that, but what they didn't seem to have, to me, was a lot of ministry and mission and just explanation. And my church plant too, I had all these people coming in, including, I was also in a church plant before that where I was a
Mm,
new Anglican,
yeah.
and I fell in love with this tradition of Christianity, and it really meant a lot to me. It was part of just a renewal of my own faith in Christ, and so I had this passion for it and an enjoyment of it. And so people would just say, there's a lot of joy coming through. There's a lot of excitement in your writings about Anglicanism, especially worship and those kind of things. So there just wasn't a place, again, to send like a new Anglican and just say,
Yeah.
here's why we do what we do. And that was sort of that was the inspiration for the original website. And then other people came along just to help out, had a vision that it would be a multi-author site. And then Josh, you came along and you were working on something called Rookie Anglican at that time.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like our paths crossed at the right time, and we were both working together, kind of working on the same idea in different ways. So it was pretty cool that you came along and joined up with the team there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean on my end, like I remember finding what was then called Anglican pastor in the search results. You know, it's like I was sort of the a later beneficiary of your vision that you were just describing there. You know, like I was a new Anglican. I was a youth pastor at an Anglican church in charge with catechizing the students and teaching them about the liturgy. And I was like, man, I gotta learn, I gotta learn this stuff if I'm going to teach it to others. And so I remember, you know, doing Google searches and finding still a lot of the Anglican news type sites that you mentioned, and but thankfully finding Anglican pastor like mixed in with the search results is like a helpful resource of like actual like substantive content if you were going to introduce somebody to the Anglican tradition. And yeah, I started Rookie Anglican, I suppose not to compete with what you were doing, but as as kind of like a parallel project to what you just described. It's like I was having to describe things about Anglicanism to my students and to my family members and friends, you know, telling them why I had become an Anglican, stuff like that. And a bunch of my friends in seminary were kind of at similar points in their journeys as well. So I got us together and, you know, asked, you know, my friends to help me write articles that we could just basically sort of hand to people or refer to people if they were interested in Anglicanism. So kind of almost like doing again what you had started to do with Anglican pastor.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you pointed out like, hey, I feel like these are like similar visions. Do you want to move Rookie Anglican to Anglican pastor? For one thing, I was like, yes, because you guys have more, you know, a bigger audience than we're getting with Rookie Anglican. But it's been kind of fun to sort of like carry forward the vision. And I mean, man, I go back and look at, you know, the flurry of blog posts that you wrote when you first started the website. And you really, I mean, you really covered like almost everything at least once back then.
Hmm. Right.
So when people pitch ideas for pieces to me, I'm like, well, we haven't written about that in a long time. So
Yeah.
sure, but you should link to this post that Greg Goebel wrote, like,
7
5
years
years ago
ago.
or something. So yeah, that's been cool how we've been able to sort of bring together those two, Anglican pastor and Rookie Anglican, now into Anglican Compass. Um, so it sounds like there's a lot of things that were already there in place as far as clarity and charity go from the beginning of the website. But what have we learned along the way? Like, what would you say you've learned about, you know, either the importance or the meaning of both clarity and charity as you've started this website and grown it over the years and have had to, you know, describe it to other people and hear about how it's working or not working in local church context? Like, what are some of the biggest lessons about clarity and charity that you feel like you've learned along the way?
Yeah, it's been about 7 years since we've been doing this. I've been doing this part of this project and this website, and you do learn as you go. Even though we didn't have the phrase clarity and
Mm,
charity necessarily nailed down, it was kind of like we were going in that direction. And
yeah.
for me, it's kind of like for me, it's like a head, hands, heart thing. Starting with clarity, it's like, is my head clear? And that for me, that means, am I thinking clearly about what I'm trying to say and what I'm thinking? And also, you mentioned earlier, do I understand what other people are saying? Am I being clear about what they're saying and understanding the picture? So am I looking back at Anglican history and Christian history? My heart, is it clear? Meaning, why am I writing this piece? What is the direction of it in terms of my motives and kind of, the way I'm explaining it? And then my hands, like as I'm actually writing, to me, that's sort of the editorial piece where you're actually looking at what is the best way. We seek excellence in the written word, and whatever we do, we try to do it in an excellent way and learn the best practices of editors and writers and figure out ways to communicate with people. And
Yeah.
it's part of the Christian mission to communicate. It starts from the very beginning. Go into all the world and preach the gospel, and Scripture is written. So I mean, it's something Christians have been doing for a long time, and I think part of our evangelism as Anglicans is to continue to have that clarity of thought, clarity of heart, and clarity of hands. And for me, the clarity of heart is just an awareness of my own fallenness and my own
Mm,
salvation in Christ.
yeah.
Just an awareness that I'm His child, and kind of, you know, I try to keep coming back to that. And if I'm guiding other people in their writing as an editor, to bring those things up as well. And I would just go through the same three with charity. I mean, um, you know, thinking about my thoughts, are they charitable towards other people? Thinking about my my motives and my heart as I think about other people's arguments. If it's if there are times when you're disagreeing with somebody, but are you doing it from a place of love, and a place of, do you feel like this post actually contributes to a discussion that's helpful and productive?
Yeah.
And then the hands piece again with the charity. There's words that are better than others at explaining something without causing any harm.
Mm.
And I think the only thing I would add to there, when I've learned, is that there is a way to advocate very strongly for the Christian faith, and even times when it might be unpopular in society or around the world in some ways, with charity. It doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily mean being timid or hiding away something or
Mm.
being ambiguous. Just charity means doing it with love, even when we're being um, bold and we're saying something that maybe isn't popular. We're still going to recognize other people, uh,
Yeah.
speak to them with love.
Yeah, and that, I mean, I would say that's one thing that I've learned since taking over as managing editor, and reading and reviewing our pieces before they go out, is that the charitable argument is frequently actually the stronger argument,
Mhm.
in terms of like scoring legitimate points against your
Yeah.
opponents. If you can almost describe your opponent's argument better than they can, and then say why you disagree with it, then I mean that's a powerful argument to be reckoned with. So that's one thing that stuck out to me as a lesson learned along the way, is that the importance of loving others well. Obviously there's a theological and a biblical reason why we should do that, regardless of its sort of like practical effectiveness.
Hmm.
So even if it wasn't the most effective way to argue, we're obligated to do it because Christ calls us to that.
Yeah.
But there is a pragmatic payoff for making careful, clear, and charitable arguments that
Hmm.
refuse to get sidetracked into straw manning somebody, or all these red herrings that can come up that are a distraction from the main thing. um,
Yeah.
I really do feel like it's a helpful discipline. And one other thing I wanted to add is, I've also realized that like no one is naturally good at this. So, when we say we want to help you navigate the Anglican tradition with clarity and charity, we do feel like we have something to offer, especially as a broader website and not just the two of us.
Hmm.
Um, but we're on that journey as well, right? Like it doesn't matter which side of a debate you're on, both sides can treat each other
Hmm.
uncharitably. So it's not like we're the charity guys who have this all figured out. Like this is a discipline for us as well.
Hmm.
Especially when we're say like editing a piece and preparing it for publication, when we disagree with it, checking. I've had to, check myself and be like, do I not like this piece because it's poorly done, or because it's something that I wouldn't write,
It's a great
So,
discipline.
yeah, I mean, I feel like it's been helpful to me personally, committing myself to this vision. And so I'm hoping that the same thing is true for our readers and for our authors, that we can all grow in these areas together. Anything you would add to that?
No, that's great. I mean, I'm glad you highlighted that it's a discipline, and it's a practice and a discipline we're trying to follow. And wherever we don't, we want to hear from our readers and writers. And we have a really strong community of writers, and
Mm,
and the people that are writing with us are also seeking after that clarity and charity. And just had a great experience meeting new people, and um, people that I've known for years, and just working together on this so that we can be a platform for clarity and charity in terms of explaining Anglicanism and gaining other people's perspectives. And it's been really fun too. It's really great to work with you, and I enjoy all of our editorial meetings and conversations, and we're really having a good time together just working on this. And we love to hear from readers, and we just love to work with our writers.
yeah. Agreed. So we're really looking for like-hearted. That's a phrase that I got from Alan Jacobs, but we're looking for like-hearted readers and also authors to help us carry forward this vision. So if you've read our Start Here page and the description of our vision there, if you've watched this video and you're really resonating with what we're after in terms of clarity and charity, and there's a few things you can do to sort of support us in that. The first and easiest thing is just to read our content. You can subscribe to our email list. There should be like a pop-up that comes up when you visit our website, or you can go to anglicancompass.com/subscribe to get on our email list. That's a good way to, stay in touch with what we're up to. We're publishing content, almost every day of the week now. So reading our content and sharing it is huge. Like we really do rely on sort of our word of mouth, word of keyboard network. So if you've got family members, friends, acquaintances that you feel like would be, that our content could help serve, please share it with them. That's like a free way of supporting us, but it's very important. You can also, follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're starting and developing our YouTube channel as well. We do have a Patreon page, which if you go to anglicancompass.com /start here and scroll down, you can find, the link to our Patreon page. You can become a monthly subscriber through Patreon. You can give us a one-time donation through, I think it's AppLoss is our current donation handling software. And then you can buy one of our books on Amazon or Kindle. Right now we've got an Advent book, a Lent book that Greg and I worked on. David Roseberry's got a book called The Rector and the Vestry that's all about sort of the nuts and bolts of how you lead and run an Anglican church well. So anytime you buy one of those books that we've published, we do get a little bit of money coming back from that. And that's a good way to support what we're up to. And so that's about it. So those are various ways that you can support us if you're excited about what we're doing. If you have any suggestions about how we can improve, then we've got a contact form on our website that goes straight to my inbox. I read every email that comes in. So honestly, like Greg and I said, we think we have something to offer, but we're also on the journey with you. So if you have any suggestions, even if it's just something that you'd like us to write about and to cover, please let us know. We would love to answer your questions and help you solve any problems that you're currently dealing with. Well, I hope this video has been helpful. Greg, thanks for your time and talking with me and letting me ask you some questions. And we hope to talk with you guys again soon. All right.
Enjoyed it.
Bye.
Bye.